Hi, my name is Vinod. I'm the HOP Head of Program for Degree Studies and I'm teaching programming subjects in Unimai. So today's workshop, I'm going to talk about coding. So what is coding? Why is coding so important? And what other jobs are there in the market for coding? So we're going to talk a bit about coding today. So let's move on to our first slide. So firstly, what are the things that we're going to learn overall? Today we're going to look at the overview of coding. What is coding? And how many programming languages are there in the market currently? You should know how many programming languages, because when you go to the job, your manager will ask you how many programming languages that you know. If you say only one or two programming languages, doesn't sufficient enough. So you have to know more or less all about programming languages. And what are the popular languages are there in the market right now? And which language you're going to use to develop an application. So on what base that you're going to decide what programming language they're going to use. You have to make a good decision on that. And what are the career that we have in programming? So where you can work, what kind of job that you're looking. Are you based on salary or are you based on your skills? So we can look forward on that. And that's what we're going to learn today. So what is coding? So people ask you what is coding, what is the answer? Coding is actually a process of using a programming language to get a computer to behave how you want it to do. So normally those days we have two types of coding. We call it as procedural coding and non-procedural coding. Procedural means you have to tell the computer what to do. And however, for non-procedural, you're going to tell the computer what to do. Okay, so this is the most differences between procedural and non-procedural. Okay, so next we move on. So what is programming language? Programming language is a formal language which comprises a set of instructions that produce various kinds of output. That means coding is using a programming language to develop an application. So what kind of application? There are many types of application that you can develop. So why do we need to program? So what's the purpose of doing coding? Why coding is so important? You should know that. Basically, to solve a problem, that's why we need to write a code. So no matter any sort of problems. For example, you want to register online. That means you have to create a form online. So you want to promote your product. You have to have a website. You want to play a game. You must have a mobile game application. You want to download certain applications from Play Store, Market. So we have to create a program. So for that, coding is very important. And of course, with coding knowledge, you can get more jobs out there in the market. And of course, coding will test your critical thinking as well. And of course, problem solving and your creativity. So now I'm going to ask you one question. How many programming languages do we have currently? Do you know the exact number? So far, we already reached around 700 programming languages are there in the current market. It doesn't mean you have to know all the 700 languages in detail, but at least you must be aware of how many programming languages do we have in the current market. So how many generations overall for programming language? So far we have 5 generations, starting with machine language, then followed by assembly language, then high level language, also known as 3GL, and the fourth one will be 4th generation languages, 4GL, and the final one, which is the high end, known as natural language. So these are the generations that we have for programming language. Currently we are in 4th generation. Okay, so these are the diagram that we are showing right now. You can see a lot of programming languages. So which one is familiarized with you? Maybe in your school days you have learned certain programming languages, right? I hope the name should be there in this diagram. So what is the common features for all these programming languages? We have 700 programming languages. So what are the common features? The first thing is the data type and structures are common. Okay, but the syntax will be different. Syntax based on the programming languages. We also have operation, conditional and loops statements. And we also have function and procedures. These are the common things that you should have for all programming languages. And finally, exception handling. How are you going to handle errors, or how are we going to handle certain situations where user key in a wrong input or whatever. So how are we going to handle it using programming? So the concept, the features are the same, but the syntax are different. So now where do you begin? Where are you going to start first? So first of all, whenever you want to create a program, you must know the domain first. What is the problem? Are you going to solve a complex computation or data analysis? Are you going to create an embedded or control system? Are you going to create an enterprise applications? Is it a dynamic web application? Is it a computer graphic or animation? Is it a console game or mobile application? So you should decide first. Then from there you can start to find out which coding you're going to use to develop the particular application. So now, choosing a language. How are you going to choose? Based on what? So normally it's based on the problem that you're going to solve. What kind of problem you're going to what type of problem that you're going to overcome and how you're going to solve it. So based on that, we can decide which programming language you're going to use. And of course, which one is widely available, which one is active. You don't take something that is already absolute. You substitute something, something like obsolete. You have to find out something is very new, latest. So you can run on any platform and you can support on any OS. Okay, so what is front end and back end? Have you heard about it? Yes, you should heard about it, because when it comes to IT field, you must know what is front end and what is back end. Front end is something that you can see from your monitor. Doesn't matter if it's from your desktop or laptop or mobile or whatever. The interface that you're looking at it's supposed to be known as front end. And back end will be the thing that you can't see, which is working indirectly behind back end, which is your server, which your database, security system, all those things are back end. The front end is only the interface, the design, all those, the interactivity is happening between the client and the application should be the front end. So indirectly in this picture, I already explained to you, front end, normally they use like certain programming languages. It is already designated for the particular front end. And for back end, we also have Python, Ruby and Perl. They are normally works behind. Okay, back end. For those purposes, it is already listed down in our diagram. So which one of the most demanding or popular programming language? Do you know? Yes, of course, we have 700 languages, but from out of 700 languages, top 20. So which one is coming up to number 1? So you should know this, very important, because normally when you go for a job hunting, the boss or interviewer will ask you which is the leading programming languages. So you should know from this chart, Java will be the number 1 programming language, followed by C, Python, C++, and so on until Visual Basic. This list is from 2019, but however, remember, each and every year the rank will be changing because of rapid changing in our current world. So now 2020, number 1 still Java, followed by C, Python, C++, and so on. So you should know all these programming languages, which is very, very, very compulsory to know about it, and it's very important if you are in an IT field. So overall chart for all the programming languages that I already mentioned, you can see over here. You can see the topmost on your right hand side, you can see Java there. And on the left hand side, the lowest will be the programming language, which is almost obsolete, getting forgotten. Okay. So now I'm going to just talk about a very brief explanation of those 12 important, which is in demand in current market, all those programming languages. Starting with Java, since you know Java is number 1. So Java is a server-side integrated compiled language using a virtual machine. Why you can use Java? Java you can use for online gaming, you can upload pictures, you can do virtual tours, you can create interactive maps, mobile app, and many more. And Java is very important for web application as well, for desktop GUI, also embedded system, mobile application, all those things are covered for Java. So Java has a very big, high scope for you to work with. Followed by Python. Have you heard about Python? Yes, Python is a very important coding which is progressing right now. It's very popular among to build websites, provide database access, desktop graphic user interface, build software and game. Followed by Python, we also have Cobra. Cobra is actually a new one also. It's also very popular. It's using Python, C++, C#, Eiffel, Objective-C, almost same to Cobra. Followed by PHP. PHP is another programming language. It's also important for website, for back-end, also for your front-end. Okay, for database as well. We also have JavaScript. So why JavaScript? JavaScript is used to make your web browser, your web become interactive. To make it interactive, you must use JavaScript. So JavaScript will make your website look dynamic rather than static. Okay, so SQL. What is SQL? SQL is normally used for database. It's only for database backend to store data. how you're going to execute the data, how you're going to retrieve data from database, how you're going to add, how you're going to delete, how you're going to modify, all those things happening in your database. Okay, now C. C is also known as a structured programming language, which is also known as a procedural programming language. Okay, which is the old kind of language, but we're still using it for enterprise application, games, graphics, and applications requiring calculation as well. However, C++ is an enhanced version of C, and C++ is already adapted into object-oriented programming. Remember, we have two types of programming language. One we call as structured, another one is object-oriented. So now C++ is moving towards object-oriented programming, and it can be used to develop apps for Windows, Linux, video games, and mobile apps. C# is the more advanced version of C++, and normally C# is used for web apps, desktop apps, mobile apps, games, and much more. Okay, Objective-C. Objective-C is almost similar to C, which is also based on C, but it runs on Apple iOS. Yes, I know you all love Apple. So Apple iOS, they use Objective-C to develop application specifically for iOS OS. We have Ruby. Ruby is a server-side interpreted non-compiled scripting language. It's used to build simulations, build web application as well. It's also one of the most important programming language. And ASP.NET. .NET, whenever you heard about .NET, it's supposed to be used under networking. It's for networking purpose, and it's also server-side interpreted language. It normally uses to run website, build web forms, web application, and many more. And this is one of the most important programming languages that you should know to get a job. Ajax. Ajax is actually types of programming language, but it's actually not a programming language. It's just like it's a combination whereby you're going to use JavaScript and to make it interactive. That means whenever, for example, you go for Google, you just type in something that's automatically pop up, right? The search suggestion will be pop up directly right from the database, something like that. So it's supposed to be Ajax. Okay, it's something to communicate with the server to allow the page to change without requiring the user to refresh. This is the benefit of Ajax. So now I'm going to show you an overall chart where and when you can use those programming languages. So you can see that for storing information, you can use PHP, Python, or Ruby. To create edit web pages, you can use CSS or HTML. To build a mobile application, you can use Objective-C, which is for iOS. We have Java and C++. To make a web pages interactive, you can use JavaScript or ASP.NET. For cloud computing, yes, cloud computing is very important nowadays because you have to store your data indirectly using a physical drive. You can store it on your cloud. So for cloud, you can use PHP, Python, Ruby, Java, ASP.NET, and C#. And however, web application covers most of the programming languages, which is also very important. So nowadays, everyone wanted to be a web developer, so that means they must know more than one programming language instead of one programming. So for example, for a web application, you must know HTML, CSS, JavaScript, PHP, Python, Ruby, ASP.NET, or C#. Okay, so what are the similarities in programming languages? So I'm going to show you a grouping that you can see. C, C++, Objective-C can be used for mobile apps, games. Okay. Java, C#, Android can be used for mobile apps as well, and of course for client-server application. Ruby, PHP, JavaScript, Python can be used for website. So these are the common thing that you can find out from all these programming languages. So now we're going to talk about career in coding. So where you can go, where you can work after you're done with your coding. So obviously, if you realize nowadays people are doing something, learning something, but they are working in a different field. So 70% they haven't mastered in their skills. So they're supposed to well equipped with the proper skills to get a job, which is related to their field. Overall, in IT field, you can see just 75% of them are male. Females are there only 24% in IT field. And of course, years of experience that are required in our industry right now. Entry level, 14.7% of them percentage are entry level requirement. And for early career, which is a bit early stage, 58%. And for mid career, 21.2%, experience 6%. So if you realize from this level, entry level, the salary will be a bit lower. I mean, this is the lowest among the rest. The highest will be the experienced one. So now I'm going to show you the average salary that you can get when you are graduate. I mean, once you are graduate from to be a degree graduate, you can get this kind of salary, which is your starting pay. If you want to work as a programmer, basic salary will be around 3,490 per month. If you want to be a PHP developer, it can be 3,450 per month. Java developer can be between 3,280 per month. C++ developer 3,881. .NET you can earn more, 5,617. Wow, you should take this into consideration. Software engineers can work and they can earn around 4,765 per month. Web designer 3,490 per month. Android developer 5,256 per month. Also a bit high because Android is mobile. iOS developer also high, 5,801 per month. So can you see from the price range, it's getting improvised when it comes to mobile, because mobile users are increasing and people are demanding. This is the demanding field actually. But this is for Malaysian pricing. But if you want to go to overseas, you can earn more, even more. This is the price range for overseas market. Just imagine for software engineer, you can earn until 99,000 per month. So this goes on for the rest of the type of programming. If you want to be a Java developer, you can earn from 7K till 101K. Just imagine the amount of money that you can earn if you are really expert in that field. Okay, so how are we going to do this? Find an interesting problem to solve. Choose a language, learn the fundamental and language features, and do more practices. You have to do a lot of practices, a lot of research to find out how to solve that particular problems. And of course, you can have fun with it. Once you keep on try and error, you can finally get the end product and you will feel satisfied with your outcome. Summary is really not just about learning a language. Computer programming in general involves a lot more. So think big, work smart, and have fun. Thank you very much. This is all about coding.